What's going on, everybody? It's your boy CZar, and we are talking about Bitcoin. It is the 11th of September. We're about 4 hours into the new day, sitting at $56,800 right now. Loving this as a low. Every single day that goes by, we're just validating it more and more, moving up. I like where we are. I like the way the RSI looks. I like the way that the price looks. Everything's looking groovy, looking like it wants to move on up. In fact, if we look at the daily RSI, you're interacting with the 50 area now. It does look like you're having a bit of a pullback, to be fair, but you've got these higher lows kind of coming into effect. And I would expect, even if you did pull back from here, I don't think that you're going to get into the oversold zone, and I would think that you move up. You just might rip through the 50, though. It's completely possible. And if you do continue to move up from here, you might break this lower high trend as well. That could be something that you're looking to do. And again, whether you do that now or maybe you come down a little bit, form another like momentary higher low relative to like this whole chain of lows that you've got going on. I say whole chain, it's just two, but it would be more of a chain if there were three. Anyways, if you moved down a little bit and then moved up, you could try again later with breaking this downtrend in the RSI as far as the highs go, right? I would expect that you hold this uptrend with the lows. And it kind of does look like the RSI is pinching, right? It's getting tighter and tighter. So we might see a relatively strong move either way. I'm not expecting it would be to the downside, so it'd probably be to the upside. If we are moving up from here, I would expect the target area, and I've already said this earlier this week, but it would probably be somewhere around 65,000 to 67,000, maybe a little bit above 67,000, something like that, right? That's kind of the expectations for this next move, and that would probably happen, I would expect, now that it's the 11th, in the next week, within the next week. That's kind of the estimated movement, right? And that's just going off of the RSI and the relative fibs there, right? Not just the news that we've got coming up with the Fed interest rate changing, but I think that'll be a big deal. That'll be kind of a momentary catalyst that will provide a sell the news event. We'll get another higher low, and then we'll really break out of this thing as a whole. But I don't know if I have anything else that I really want to talk about. If we look at the Heikinashi, maybe we can find something there. Heikinashi on the dailies turning green. We've got three green days in a row. It's not too common that you see just 3 green days and then you turn around, but there are times where you get not that many green days in a row, right? But I would expect that this does take us higher, especially just looking at relative price action where we are, finding a low right at a previous low here, confirming a higher low. I don't know. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly's red. Maybe next week we could turn it green, which that would be nice. And the monthly is definitely red. Okay. Do we have anything bigger than that? 3 month? 3 month is green. We're chilling on the 3 month, you guys. Red in April 2018. That's well past the bull cycle peak. Red in January. Hey, that's right around it there. So I don't know. Something to pay attention to maybe. Can we put a 2 month on there? Let's see. How do I forget how to make my custom. There we go. Months 2. Let's try it. Oh, we're getting a red one here. And those are not good for the bull cycle. Definitely not good, right? And then that one closes. This is the beginning of this 2 months. So we've got until the end of October, so that'll probably be fine. But it's getting to that point. Hey, man, it's getting to that point where we need to move up if we want to continue this as a bull cycle, which I very much do believe we're going to do. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, you guys. I'm just looking at stuff, bored. I've said everything that I need to say. Nothing's really changed over the past few days, right? Nothing crazy's happened. Yes, we're moving up, but this isn't something that's out of the order, or not out of the ordinary, out of the realm of expectations. We're expecting this move. It'll continue to grow. We're down a little bit right now, sure, but it's going to come back up, man. It really is. The 4 hour looks bullish as hell. The fact that you were trying to get overbought and you couldn't, I'm going to admit that's a little concerning, but I would bet you have higher lows with these lower lows. I'm just going to guess. Yes, higher lows with the lower lows. That's hidden bullish divergence, so you could be coiling up before your real move to the upside, right? You could be consolidating before you really break out. And if you are consolidating up here like this on the 4 hour, it's not the most significant time frame, but for a short-term time frame, it's still pretty significant. The 4 hour, I would expect that we get a nice move up, something that's bigger than what we've seen, relatively speaking. So a bigger move up in a shorter amount of time than anything we've seen here, right? I'm not saying bigger than this whole move, though likely it will be, but just bigger. We'll probably have days that are bigger than 4% in the coming days, right? Over the coming week, probably. So all in all, moving up, target areas between these highs and these highs up here. That's about it. I got nothing else I want to say. If you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm going to mess around for a second if you want to hang around. Dailies, chilling at the ribbon. This would be a place that you'd expect to reject. 4 hours looking like it wants to cross up. Hey man, that 4 hour, it's looking good, man. It is. This is also screaming for a pop. We get this to cross to the upside. That tends to be a good thing, right? If we look at the last time he crossed up bullishly here, look at how nice that candle was, and the follow through is even more bullish, right? You're consolidating for a bit, and then you got your pop up, cross down, and then you really started to pick up momentum to the downside. I don't know. Weekly's consolidating. When we get above there, man, whenever we get above $60,000, $61,000, essentially it's on, you guys. When we're closing above that yellow line, which very literally is at $60,331 right now. If you were to move up, that average would change a little bit. So let's just say 60,400. When you close a week, any given week above 60,400, that is kind of a premonition of breaking this range, right? To break this range, you would have to break the lower high trend, right? This trend line, however you want to draw it. At least get above this high, one of those things. But I think it's enough to get excited over when you get above this line here, this yellow line, this 60,300, and probably it'd be 60,400 if you were to move up there. Reason to get excited for breaking out of this, because whenever you consolidate, whenever you get this band tightening up like this, and you're not getting below it, you're finding support in it, and then you move out of it, it tends to be a very strong move, right? Some very strong follow through. I don't know why I did that. I didn't mean to do that. See if we can find an example to end it off with, I guess. I don't know. Here, you kind of did the same thing, but here you were showing a little bit more weakness. Here, you're not even closing out of the band. You dabbled below it for a little bit there. Here, you were below it well, and you actually closed below it as well. Here, yes, you were tightening, but you had a false cross. I don't know. Not as powerful of a signal. End of the bull cycle there. Let's get that log on there. Nothing really to go off of from this previous cycle. Kind of constricted, but not really there. I don't know. Then it's just too crazy every other time. Even here, when your bear market already started, you were holding support above. You dipped a little bit lower, and you hugged the bottom a little bit more, again, showing more weakness than we are now. But you still had a nice move, right, from even like a relative low, not the actual low, but just this relative low to this high. I mean, you moved up 63%. That's not bad. 63% from here would take us to new all-time highs, you guys. I'm pretty sure, right? 56,000, yeah, I would think so. 63 would take us all the way up to like 92. I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I actually think that we're going to go higher than that. But anyways, I'm like I said, I'm just BSing at this point, man. Target area, absolutely we could see higher, and I'm genuinely expecting 120. I think that's going to happen by the end of this next move up. The reason how I rationalize that, and we can go on a different chart so that I don't have to deal with the ribbon. The reason we can rationalize moving up to the 2272, first off, relative to this chart on a monthly basis, it's a very small consolidation phase, right? It's not that big, right? This is large, and this is on a monthly basis, on a macro basis, this is like what they generally are, the bear markets, right? Stuff like this, very small. You can see a deeper extension based off of that. Secondly, just based off of that kind of thought, in itself, I don't believe that you've consolidated 6 months like this in a bull market just to move up to here, right? Like what that would mean, okay, let's just draw it out and then we'll remove. Let's say you were to move to the 1618 itself, okay, and then that was it. Then you were to move down. That means that you consolidated all that time just for that move, right? When this was your preceding move. Let's see, from a low point here to a high point, relative high, we won't go to the fake out high, right? Because that high really generated us lower prices. That was on the release of Bitcoin ETFs. But that move there, okay, from the low that we just had, that would take us in a very short amount of time. By the end of the year, that would take us at least to $105,000, right? As the cycle goes on, the moves tend to only get stronger, right? You can go back any Bitcoin cycle. That's just the truth. That's how it is, right? Break out of the consolidation. This move was way stronger than the preceding move, right? As time goes on, weak, a little bit stronger, very strong ultimate moves, right? At the end, I would expect that it's not going to be weaker than this last move, than our first move, and I don't even expect it to be weaker than this last move. So just with that in mind, if we were to only move up that much, that would be our 1272, 1618 targets, the expected targets. The reason why I'm kind of foregoing that, I mention it just out of habit, right? This is the area that I mentioned. If you've watched my channel over the last year and a half, or however long it's been going on for, coming up on 2 years technically. I took a 6-month hiatus, but whatever. Generally, I say this zone is the expected zone, but the reason why I'm foregoing that or saying that I expect this, it's not because I want to see prices higher. Of course I want to see prices higher. I wish if that was my logic, man, I'd be calling for way higher prices, and I am calling for higher prices than that, than 123 by the end of the cycle. Maybe not $1 million, obviously, but the reason why I feel comfortable with that is it just doesn't make sense from a chart perspective. To break out of these all-time highs that you've been chilling around, right? Your previous cycle all-time highs that you're finding support on, you've been consolidating for 6 months. Generally, when you break out of your mid-cycle consolidation phase, that's whenever you see some real fireworks fly. Like, you ain't seen nothing yet, right? Like, we would probably see stronger moves, not weaker moves going forward. So now that I've beat the hell out of that over and over again, let's go in this with an open mind, thinking that, okay, maybe the 2272 is possible. Maybe even the 2618 is possible. Maybe even deeper prices are possible, right? The 3618, screw it. Let's throw it up there. Prices above 200K. I definitely expect 120, if not 170, somewhere in that range. Specifically, I'd really say probably like 120 to 140 is what I'm thinking we're going to go to by the end of the year. If not the very, very beginning, like I'm talking first half of January is what I would expect. And I don't think that's the cycle end. I just think that's the end of this next move. But I feel like I had somewhere else that I was going with it, and I just can't think. Oh yeah, I mean we got our monthly RSI here, which we haven't even hit the regular territory that we normally do for these bull cycles, right? Going back to the very first cycle and every cycle since, you've interacted with this line at least once. More often twice, 1, 2 here, 1, 2 there, 1, 2 there, once here, but you still had a second peak, and that second peak was your high, as it was every other time as well, right? The second peak here, first peak, second peak, that was your all-time high. And I'm not going to go back and just, I mean, you can see it if you really want to, right? Second peak right there, all-time high, second peak right there. We haven't even interacted with this line yet, right? This is a peak, right? But this was a peak, this was a peak before, this was a peak before. We haven't interacted with the line, right? Relative to these bull markets, we haven't even done it the first time. So once we do hit this line, which I would assume is going to be on this next run up, which I would think would have to at least take us up to about 120 to 170, but 120 to 140 to get us up to this area, right? What we've seen literally every single cycle. And that's just the first peak. Right? That's why I don't think that's where it's going to stop. The very first time we did this, the second peak came in 4 months later. Okay? The next cycle, from peak to peak, the next peak came in 8 months later. And I think I got that on there right. Let me just make sure. No, 7 months later. This peak came in probably 4 months later as well. Yeah, 4 months. That's right. It's 4747. 47 right there, yeah. First peak, second peak. Didn't interact with the line, but it was the second peak afterwards, right there. Once we interact with this, which I don't know when it's going to be, but let's just say it's going to be December or January of this year / next year, right? So let's just say January. Let's say it's January. 4 months from then would then imply that the market's going to end in May, right? And if it's December, then that would be April, okay? If it's 7 months from then that would be August potentially, or maybe July. If it's, again, if I was to move this back instead of January being in December, just to give you a bit of a range as to when that would happen. It could go longer, and I am expecting it to go longer, but this is one of the few metrics that makes me think that the bull market could end closer to the midway point of the year. But time will tell, guys. We'll know as we get closer to that. We'll know. We might not even have this first peak interacting with this line until later than January. Maybe I'm not giving this move enough credit and it has more gas in it than that, or maybe it just takes longer than I'm thinking it will. Either way, we'll know better as time goes on. I hope this little will to ramble on and go over random things in the charts and just look at future prospects. I hope you guys are getting something out of this, because I'm just kind of freeballing it here. So hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Good things are coming. Good things are coming, you guys, and it's going to be very soon. Oh man, I really feel bad for a lot of the bears out there. I know what it's like, man. I know what it's like to be on the wrong side of that table. That was my first cycle, man, and it sucks whenever you're in something and it's going down, or when you've invested in something you expect it to go up and it's just moving sideways / down. That sucks, but it really sucks when you're watching that same thing just go up without you. When you've sold out, right, and you're out of it, and then you're watching it go up without you. A lot of bears, you guys, a lot of people are going to get left behind here, right? Not even bears, people who have been made aware throughout the past 6 months that Bitcoin is a good investment, that it's about to break $100,000. People who have, this has been put on their radar, they're going to miss the opportunity. And finally, when Bitcoin's above 100,000, finally, whenever it hits them, I should have listened to whoever, my crypto friend, telling me to buy this before this happens. Should have listened to him. Then they'll buy it up here, and that'll be the bad time. Then they're going to be groping, man. They're going to be upset and whiny, and then they're going to have to wait for the next move up as well. But that's just how it is, man. That's just how it is. I feel I'm just going over this right now because it's dawned on me. There's a lot of people right now, man. There are a lot of people that are fearful. There are a lot of people that think the market is over and that we're going lower, and we are literally at the point where things are about to turn around and get very, very exciting. So cheers to the people who are strapped and ready for the good times to roll, and condolences to the people who couldn't hold out for whatever your reason is, man. I'm not here to judge you. It's just I feel for you, because I've been in that situation before, man. And the best thing to do anytime you're investing, especially when it comes to crypto, especially when it comes to good projects in crypto that will last more than just a week or a month or one pump, right? Is to just hold through, man. Hold through. It goes lower than you thought it would. You buy more. You don't sell. You buy more, and you keep buying, and you wait for those glorious prices to return, because they will return. Anyways, enough of the pep talk, enough of the random rambles. I believe Bitcoin at the end of the cycle is going to go above this line here at $462,000. Time will tell. We'll see how it goes. Certainly, I believe we'll break 100K in the next 3 months, 4 months, something like that. All right, take care. Bye-bye.